Possibly the most common question we get regarding someone wanting to purchase a hot tub is what the actual running costs are. Now this is a very, very difficult one to answer. There's a few factors. It's the location of the spa. It might be outside, it might be in a summer house. You might use the spa 3 times a week for half an hour. You might use the spa for 7 days a week for 2 hours. Obviously that would make a massive difference to the running costs. What we've done, my colleague Jeff has done an excellent experiment on a model called the St. Lucia. It's a 7-8 day experiment going through the full running costs of heating the spa up, using it a few times over the week, and hopefully you'll enjoy the facts and figures that he's come up with. Hope you enjoy the video.
Hi, it's Jeff from Better Living Outdoors, and today we're starting our little running cost experiment with our St. Lucia's here in the showroom. We've literally just filled this up, so fill temperature on the tub at the tap at the moment is 14.5 degrees. We've set him to heat up to 37.5, which is what we generally base our average running costs off, and he's basically heated up. So as you can see on our little smart meter here, tub's currently pulling just over 3 kilowatts. So that is the heater obviously running together with the circulation pump, which is enabling the water to pass over the heater. Realistically, to get up to 37.5 degrees, once we get the lid down on this, we're probably looking about 11.5 to 12 hours to get that to happen. We're going to set the spa to run what we would deem as the average filter cycles on these tubs. So we'd say 2 lots of an hour every day. So we're going to set it to that. And then for the rest of the experiment, we're going to run it like we advise you guys is average. So it'll get opened up 3 times a week and we'll run all the pumps for half an hour, which again is what we deem as being average in the industry. Some people will use it more, some people use it less, but it gives you a little bit of a benchmark. And obviously we can then advise you what the kilowatt consumption is. As you can see from our little smart meter down here, we do have a temperature as well. So showroom temperature at the moment is about 20 degrees. So not exactly a winter's day, but certainly not a summer's day necessarily either. But it's an ambient temperature, and it's the best I can do for you guys at the moment. So we'll keep you posted. We've had the St. Lucia's heating up overnight, and so this is our sort of first 24-hour period. As you can see from the control panel down here, we're up to 37.5 degrees. And if we pan across onto the little smart meter, obviously at the moment it's pulling nothing because the tub's actually static, but we've used 31.9 kilowatts from the start up to get to this position. Now with any hot tub, as you'd expect, the heat up process is the most expensive one because you're bringing your water from, well in our case 14.5 degrees up to 37.5, but now it's going to maintain temperature. Clearly I've just popped the lid up so I can show you the control panel and the tub, but we'll knock the lid back down again and we shall give you another update tomorrow, and that will be then day 3. Alright, so we're on day 3 of our little experiment with the St. Lucia's. We're about 11:30 this morning at the moment, or 15, begging your pardon. So tub is currently up at 38. It's heated itself up a little bit doing a clean up after a small customer demo earlier this morning, as we're on Saturday morning at the moment. We did run it for about 10 minutes yesterday as well after I'd taken the readings in the video, and again lid was up, and then it did its cleanup cycle 30 minutes after the pumps were run. So it has had a little bit more than the sort of normal usage. You can go see the temperatures are up back to 37.5. So if we look down on the smart meter here, we can see that between yesterday's reading and today's, it's used an additional 6.7 kilowatts. It is running the circuit pump at the moment, which is why it's pulling 200 watts. So I'll make a note of that on our little recording sheet and we'll take another reading tomorrow. Okay, so it's day 4 on our experiment with our St. Lucia's and getting an indication of the running costs and electric consumption on the spa. So we're about 11:40 in the morning. So have a quick look down at the panel. So tub's obviously 37.5 degrees, yeah, 11:41. So consumption between yesterday's reading and today, we're looking at 4.2 kilowatts it's used so far. We basically had, I think, 2 customers yesterday after the readings I took coming just for a quick demo. So nothing exciting. Turn the pumps on, run it for them, showed it how it works. Probably 5 minutes, put the lid down. So obviously it's done a clean up after that as well. But again, 4.2 kilowatts at the moment. So we'll make a note on our little tally and we'll talk to you again tomorrow. Hi, so it's day 5 on our experiment with the St. Lucis in the showroom. I'm a little bit later getting the video review on this one. So just to clarify, we are just turned 1 o'clock. Tub's at 37.5 degrees. And as we can see on the smart meter, it's used 5.1 kilowatts over the last day. So we seem to be fairly consistent at the moment. Once we get to the 7-day point, we'll give a total consumption over the period. Again, yesterday we had a couple of people look at it, so we've had the lid open and run the pumps a couple of times, but no sort of major wet tests or anything. There is a wet test planned for later today, which will probably impact tomorrow's numbers. There we go, that's the latest update. So we're day 6 on our sort of monitoring view on the St. Lucis in the showroom. I'm a little bit earlier this morning looking at this because I've got to nip out in a short while. So it's 9:36 at the moment. Now, a couple of things to note. As I say, we're trying to kind of mirror typical running with the hot tub. So last night the spa was wet tested. One of my colleagues came in to try it, which was fine, and we kept it to half an hour just to kind of follow what customers would do. This morning, because it is a showroom tub, we try and keep them in a little better fare than maybe you do at home. We've shocked and clarified and given it a good spruce round. So the tub's been run all 4 pumps last night for half an hour, and then this morning we've run a 20-minute shock cycle on it. Again, all the pumps on and the lid open, and we've let the lid sit open for a further 10 or so minutes. So unsurprisingly, we've used a little bit more power. We've consumed 7.5 kilowatts so far, so we'll jot that down on the record sheet. The tub will get shut up. We will most likely test him again tomorrow morning to give us the third 30-minute session, and then we should have a 7-day tally, which obviously has got a heat up in it. We'll then make a note for the 8th day, because that would then realistically give you a 7-day window with 3 bathing sessions, and see what we're kind of consuming. So hopefully that's useful. Talk to you soon. Hi, it's Jeff at Better Living Outdoors, and we're just coming to the end of our experiment with the St. Lucis. So we've had the tub running now for 7 days, including a heat up as well. So total tally we've got for the 7 days at the moment is 69.5 kilowatts. That includes the heat up, which if you remember was around 31 kilowatts for that heat up. So obviously that would drop down quite a bit under normal usage. I am going to do a recording tomorrow for the final day, because obviously I can then give you a 7-day window. But just to confirm, we are still checking the levels off. You can see temperature 37.5, it's 11:29, and the little smart meter is reading 3.9 kilowatts for today. We have been keeping a tally on these as well, so I say we've got the record sheet, and we will finish the video off tomorrow with all the final summaries. Today we're going to run through the findings from our 8-day experiment with our St. Lucis and its electric consumption. So if you watch the previous installments of the videos, you'll know that we started this spa up from cold 8 days ago. So we filled him from cold from the tap. We've heated him up to 37.5 degrees, which is what we deem tends to be average from customers' usage. And then we've also replicated 3 30-minute bathing sessions across the last 8 days. So those 3 30-minute bathing sessions kind of represent what we deem as average usages out in there in the market for customers using their spas. So if we just have a quick look at the control panels over here, you can see we're about 20 to 1 on the Friday that we're on. Electric consumption over the last day, 4.4 kilowatts. She's currently heating up, or it's just not the heater out again, so just doing temperature checks and things like that. But the totals that we're looking at, which is probably the more important thing really than the actual flash point at this moment, over the 7 days including the cold fill, the tub used 69.5 kilowatts. Now, clearly, you're only doing 4 fills a year with one of these things, so that's possibly not the most realistic number, but that 69.5 kilowatts also does include your 3 30-minute bathing sessions. So it's worth pointing out that day 1, 31.9 kilowatts of that power was used, so that was the heat up day. If you want to look at this as a sort of normal 7-day running window, Then tub up at temperature, 30-minute bathing sessions. The hot tub used 41.9 kilowatts. Now clearly it all depends what rate you're on. With the current electric changes and gas price hikes and all those sort of things, most people seem to be dropping onto a base rate of around 22 pence a kilowatt. So over the normal 7 days, we've used £9.22, but obviously rates are going to change, depends what tariffs you're on, etc. To try and multiply this out for you, just to give you an idea what a year should look like on average, we've multiplied out 4 of the high use weeks together with 48 of the low use weeks without the heat ups in ideally. That comes in at 2,289 kilowatts, and at the 22 pence rate you're going to be looking at a running cost of around £504 a year. So that's based on 4 refills a year, you using it 3 times a week for 30 minutes a time, which, we always say to guys, this is what we deem as being average. If you're going to use it more, obviously your costs are going to be higher. Going to use it less, your costs are going to be lower. But it hopefully gives you a little bit of a benchmark. We've run this experiment in the showroom over the last 8 days. Ambient temperatures in here have been around 21 degrees at the highest, and obviously lower than that in the evening time. So not a hot summer's day, probably a medium autumnal day. Yes, it gets more expensive in the winter when it's much colder outside, but then it does get a lot less when it's hotter outside in the summertime. So we're trying to give you a little bit of an indication. Hopefully you found that helpful. Obviously, if you've got any questions, you can talk to the guys here in Shrewsbury, up in Durham, or our team down in Aylesbury as well. Many thanks for watching.